Once, after a great storm had passed, the morning sun rose over a beach that was covered with thousands of stranded, dying starfish. The creatures lay helpless on the drying sand, unable to return to the water as the tide moved further and further away. An elderly man walked slowly along the shore, looking at the vast graveyard of sea life with a heavy heart and a sigh. In the distance, he noticed a young man who seemed to be dancing or moving rhythmically against the backdrop of the rising sun. As he drew closer, he saw that the youth was not dancing, but was instead busy picking up starfish and throwing them back. The young man moved with a sense of urgent kindness, his hands working tirelessly to rescue the small creatures from their dry fate. Each starfish he threw soared through the air, catching the morning light before splashing safely into the cool, life-giving embrace of the ocean. The elderly man watched for a long time, his mind filled with the logical impossibility of what the young man was trying to do. He felt he should say something, to warn the youth about wasting his energy on a task that simply could not be finished today. "Good morning," the old man called out. "May I ask what you are doing? There are miles and miles of beach ahead of us." The young man stopped for just a moment, his face glowing with the sweat of hard work and the light of a pure soul. "I am saving the starfish," he replied softly. "The sun is getting hotter, and they cannot survive much longer here on the dry sand." The old man shook his head. "But there are thousands of them. You are just one person. You cannot possibly save them all." He pointed to the horizon, where the beach seemed to stretch on forever, still covered in a carpet of orange and red starfish. "The tide is going out, and your efforts are too small. Most of these creatures will still die despite everything you are doing now." "Don't you see?" the old man asked. "In the grand scheme of things, your work here doesn't really make a difference at all." The young man listened to the older man's logic. He looked at the vastness of the problem and the smallness of his hands. Instead of arguing, he simply reached down and picked up another small starfish that was struggling to move in the hot sun. With a focused gaze, he threw it as far as he could, watching it break the surface of a deep, sparkling blue wave. He turned to the old man with a gentle smile and said, "It made a huge difference to that one, and that is enough." The old man stood in silence, the simple truth of the boy's words cutting through his cynicism and waking up his sleeping heart. He realized that by focusing on the everything he couldn't do, he had forgotten the something he actually could do right now. The young man moved on to the next creature, his spirit unbroken by the scale of the world's many problems and its deep needs. The elderly man looked at his own hands, which had been empty for too long, and felt a sudden, powerful urge to help out. Slowly, he bent his tired back and picked up a starfish of his own, feeling the tiny life moving against his wrinkled palm. When he threw it back, he felt a spark of joy he hadn't felt in years. He wasn't just saving a fish, he was saving himself. Soon, the two of them were working side by side, a beautiful image of two generations united by a single, simple act of kindness. Others walking on the beach began to notice. They stopped their morning walks, drawn by the quiet power of the scene before them. A young girl joined in, then a family, and then a group of friends. The small act was growing into a large, collective miracle. What started as one person's lonely effort was now a community of rescuers, filling the air with the sounds of hope and action. The sun climbed higher, but the people worked faster, their spirits lifted by the sight of so many lives returning to the sea. The old man and the youth didn't need many words. Their shared purpose created a bond stronger than any conversation could ever achieve. Children learned that their small hands were powerful, and that they didn't need to be giants to change the world for someone else. The old man thought of all the times he had stayed silent or still because he felt his contribution was too small to count. He saw now that every great change begins with a single person who refuses to believe that their effort is truly in vain. The tide began its slow return, the waves washing over the sand and helping the rescuers reach those further down the long beach. It was as if the ocean itself was grateful for the help, working together with the humans to bring its children back home. The beach transformed from a place of tragedy into a classroom of the soul, where the subject was love in active motion. As the hours passed, the young man stood back to catch his breath, seeing the thousands of empty spots where starfish once lay. He knew that while the world still had many problems, this specific corner of it was much brighter because they chose to act. The elderly man sat down, tired but deeply satisfied. His eyes were bright with a new understanding of what it means to live. He whispered a quiet thank you to the young man, realizing he had been the one who was truly rescued that morning. The wet sand shone like a mirror, reflecting the blue sky and the bright future that is possible when we choose to care. Life is fragile, but it is also resilient when given even the smallest bit of help from a kind and willing hand nearby. The young man's story reminds us that we all have a starfish in our lives, someone or something that needs our specific help today. You might not be able to fix every problem in the world, but you can certainly fix the one that is right in front of you. Be the person who starts the movement. Be the one who picks up the first starfish when everyone else is just walking by. Teach the next generation that their value is not measured by the size of their success, but by the depth of their compassion. In our modern world, your starfish might be a kind word to a stranger or a small act of service to a friend. It might be standing up for someone who is alone, or simply being the light in a room that feels a little bit too dark. As you learn English and grow your skills, remember that your voice has the power to encourage and to make a lasting difference. By midday, the mission was complete. The beach was quiet once more, but the energy of the morning remained in the air. The young man walked away with a peaceful heart, knowing he had lived his values instead of just talking about them today. The old man followed, his cane no longer a symbol of his limitations, but a witness to the morning he chose to help. They were strangers who became brothers in spirit, connected by the simple belief that every single individual life truly matters. The ocean continues its rhythmic pulse, a constant reminder of the ebb and flow of life and our place within its grand design. As the day fades into a beautiful sunset, the lesson of the starfish thrower remains etched in the hearts of those who saw. Deep in the water, a starfish finds its home again, living proof that someone's small effort was actually a world-changing miracle. So, as you go through your day, ask yourself this one simple question. What is my starfish? Who can I help today? Thank you for being part of Inspiring Tales. Your presence here makes a difference to us. Subscribe, and let's keep growing together.